Welcome. This is Elisha Medlin with 5 Elements of Wholeness, and I am so excited. We have another mastermind today with Chip Eisley. He is a great friend of mine, and I just want to share with you a little bit about him. He is a co-founder of Selling Seriously. He has been coaching, mentoring, and changing lives for the last 5 years. He has mentored with and learned from some of the best, but it wasn't until he figured out what worked for him and others in closing sales that he became the sales whisperer. He helps people see and understand what sales really are, which is friendship, not one and done dealship. And he has an amazing technique that can keep you from sounding and feeling like a used sales card. Man, my mouth is not working this morning. Sorry, like a used car salesman, and help you to build bonds to trust and friendship, all while getting the sales over and over again. Chip, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce your topic and share everybody what you're doing.
Well, my name's Chip Eisley, like she said, and I'm here. What we're doing today is I'm talking about relationship with self. And people are like, I don't want a relationship with sales, but you do, you really, really do. You want to have a good relationship with sales. And people, I find that people think this is the part you don't talk about in business. This is the stuff you kind of like push away and put away. But I like bringing it out to the forefront, putting a new light on it and giving it a new characteristic where you're like, okay, I get it. This is what I really need for my business, and making it so that it's possible and doable.
I love that. It's so true. Like in my own business, I was like, I hate sales. Can't I just have somebody else do this for me? Because I didn't feel like I could relate to people. I didn't feel like I could really connect with them when I am trying to offer a product or a service. And I'm going, how do I do this and still feel like I'm authentic? And I'm sure there's a lot of us out there, and then when we don't make the sale, we're hard on ourselves. We sit there and berate ourselves. We should have done this. We should have done that. Why didn't we do this? Why couldn't we have done that? And then we get into this space of shaming, which then takes us out of even more authenticity, right?
Right. Well, we get into shaming. We also get into I find a lot of people get out of the space of, so I can't think of the word, but we get out of abundance and we get into like this need, this what's the opposite of abundance? It's the word
scarcity.
Scarcity. Thank you. We get into scarcity, and everybody feels it when you're in scarcity. They just do. They know when you're like pleading for that one cell. Everybody feels it and sees it, and so that makes it difficult. So we're going to give you 3 things to help you guys kind of work through some of this stuff today.
Yes, I'm so excited. I know I've had a lot of clients that are like, if I could just sell better, then I would feel more productive in my business. And I've learned some of your sales skills as well that I use within mine. And I know they work because I close at about 85% of my calls. And so, that ability to start getting that confidence, I really think it has to do with the confidence. And then it's all about loving the people, at least as it has been for me. It's just loving them. It's like, hey, you are reaching out to me and I have a solution to your problem, and I'm going to love you through it.
Yes. And I also will talk a little bit more about this, but I'm going to throw it up here right now anyway, just like a little teaser. But there's a power in telling people no. There's a power in actually giving people to somebody else that's not you, and ways to work around that. And we're going to touch on that kind of towards the end.
Oh, I'm excited.
Because those are sometimes even, closing 80%, that means 20% aren't taking it now, but probably 20% either A, it's just not a good fit at all, or B, they're not ready for what you have right now. But when they are, if you do it right, they're going to come back to you at a later date.
Right. Which I've had experience on that as well. In fact, of that 20% that don't sign up, I would say probably about 15% of them are the ones that end up coming back within a 6 month to a year period. And that last 5% are just people that they're just not at that level. They're not qualified for what I have to offer.
Or they never will be, or they don't want to be, or they change directions, or change what they do, or there's so many reasons. But yeah, I mean, now you're only talking about 5%, and it's easy to let go of 5%.
Mm-hmm.
Now let go of like 80%, we're doing something wrong. We need to change something in the way we're doing it. So I'm excited to talk to you guys. So we good to go? I got a story. I'm going to
go for it.
The story is it's one I share all the time, but it's still a difficult one for me, because what happened is I'm just going to be straight honest with everybody. I really do not like sales. I don't like them, didn't like them, haven't liked them. But it goes back to when I first got married 20 years ago, and I was working, and we were just getting married, and these people approached us with this phenomenal opportunity to get inside this business and be entrepreneurs of your own, you know, and make really good money. And have anybody done an MLM out there? I mean, really anybody? Yeah, everybody's done, or at least been exposed to it, or know somebody's exposed to it. And so we were super excited, okay? And I joined this MLM, and it's all about health products and water products, water filtration, stuff like that. And I feel fine talking about it, because this company is no longer an MLM anymore. Talking 20 years ago, and it's run its course. That one did, or it was bought out. I don't remember which one. But I get excited. I got all my products. I paid the money. I got all my products. I got all the stuff. And I had my mentor guy. He's talking to me. He's like, "Okay, we're gonna take you through the hard steps, and then we're gonna go through everything." So we did the first thing on the thing is we went out and we got the phone book. I don't know if you guys remember the phone book, but there was actually a phone book. We opened it up to a zip code that was in my area, and we started doing what's truly called, I mean, they have these cold calls now, but no, we did cold calls. There's a name, there's a number, push it in, and it was on the corded phone, and he's listening on the same line on another phone, just, you know, with his hand muted, like muting the phone, you know, that's how we used to do mute. And he's listening to it, and I'm just calling through all these people, and we finally get somebody who's interested, and we're talking to them, and they're excited about the product, and we get to the price. And you guys, everybody should know by now, whenever you get to the price on your own product, whatever product, that's when things get a little touchy. It always is. And we're going to talk about that a little bit, but we get to the price, and she's like, "Oh, I just can't do that." He's like, hold on. Tell him just a second. You got to talk to somebody. You got something for him. I said, "Okay." So I told him to hold on, and I put him on mute, which means I covered up the receiver with my hand. And he's like, "Okay, so this is what you do. So you have to tell this lady, because she has kids and everything, that if she doesn't buy this product, that she's condemning her kids to death, a slow, painful death." And I would love to tell you guys that I just said no and walked away, but I can't. I'm going to tell you guys what I did was I got on that phone nearly in tears, told this lady that thing. She broke out in tears, hung up on me, and the guy's like, "That's fine. It'll be okay." And we go forward. And I finished the day, and I went home, and I never came back. I'm like, if this is what sales is, I'm done. I don't want to have anything to do with that kind of manipulation, I don't want to do that to anybody ever again. And so what happens is in our lives, every one of us has, the first thing I want to talk to you about today is your why. And I know you've all heard about your why, and you've heard about your why is your big dream or your big things and everything, but I'm going to talk about a different why for a minute. I'm going to talk about why are you afraid of sales? Why do you think it's cheesy? Why do you think it's scary? Why do you think it's all these things? Because we all have our why. And I just told you my why. That is the main precursor to why I hated sales, why I couldn't do it, whenever I got on the phone with, I just clenched up and didn't want to talk to anybody about it, because I was afraid I would have somebody at some point that your whole family's life depends on that, and you're going to die if you don't take this, or if you don't do this. And I did not want to do that ever again. I didn't want to be put in that position. I didn't want to follow that suit. And so You have to find your why. And there's a really good reason you have to find your why, because in order to find, you got to go back and find that spot, that place where at some time something happened. It was either an experience you had, it was maybe trying to buy a car, or you sold something and somebody ripped you off, or you bought something and somebody ripped you off, or you felt like somebody who sold you something was just a sleazy salesman, or you get up from your parents. I have a friend his grandfather was a salesman, and he can't stand salesmen because his grandfather sells everybody on everything and thinks he's amazing, and he just is annoying to everybody. And so that's just the reason. So you have to find your why, because if you don't understand what's holding you back, you're not going to be able to move forward. So first invitation for you guys today is to find your why of what makes sales gooey to you. I don't know what else to use. Kind of ooey, because
uncomfortable, scary,
scary. Sometimes it's even ludicrous, or whatever it is. Find the reason and find the why, and look into it and really look at it and say, is that truth? Is that really how it happens? Is that what's going on? Because you don't want to be uncomfortable. You don't want to be scary, but you want to find that true why. And you need to look into it, because what I found is that people, it's like getting rid of obstacles in your life. This is an obstacle that you need to find, because if you don't find it, you're never going to know what it is. You're just going to be like, oh, sales are scary. And if you don't know why sales are scary to you, you can't work on it. You can't supersede it. You can't over it. You can't reprogram it. You can't do anything until you find that problem. So take some time after this, or right now, or write it down and figure out, what is my why? Why am I afraid of sales? Why do I not like sales? What is that one piece? I mean, I'm sure I can talk to Alicia right now. And Alicia, can you tell me what that one why is that actually caused you fear? Because I know you've overcome it. I can see a lot of that, but you can still tell me that one thing, or at least part of why you had that fear.
Well, for me, there was actually a lot of different things. I know a lot of it was I was afraid of what people would think of me. I was afraid that I would be judged as not good enough, that I don't know my stuff, who do you think you are? Go up there and talk to me about this, and stuff like that, because of my past experiences. Just like what you're saying, there was a lot of times where I did know at least I thought I did know what I was talking about, and I would go and confront somebody with it, and then I would be just swept from under my feet, like with a fact that I didn't have a rebuttal to. So I was like, okay, I really don't know what I'm talking about, right? And that makes you feel terrible. It makes you feel like you don't know what you got. You feel humiliated. So that was another really big piece. But for me, what really hit me is I went to a training with 3 key elements. And one of the things that he said in there is that the moment you can stop worrying about other people and start realizing that you're doing this to serve them, not about who you are or about, oh, look at me, I'm on stage, but more of like, hey, I have a message and I want to serve you with it, will change your dynamic or your perspective on it. And that for me is what helped me finally see what it was that was stopping me from getting on stage. And then when I got on there and I get those nerves, I'm like, it doesn't matter, I have a message. And they get to, and I don't get to manage their thought about it. I don't get to manage their perception of it. I just get to go out there and share it from my heart, and then they get to take it however they want to take it. And as soon as I let that out of, me trying to manage everybody's perceptions and just allow me to be authentic, was the moment that my life changed forever when it came to speaking in front of people and for sales too, because it was just like, hey, I'm here to serve you. You can take it or leave it.
You can take it or leave it.
It's nothing. It is not tied to my identity, value, and worth.
Nope, not tied to you at all. And I'm actually I love that you talked about those 2 things, because those are actually 2 of the points we're going to talk about today. The other 2 points a little bit. But so the next one is, so know your why. But the next one is know your program. Know what you're selling. I find that what happens is I run into a lot of people who don't know the program very well and don't Okay, they know what it is because we're creators. I tell everybody you're a creator. When you're a creator, you know every detail of the process, every thought process, every mindset, everything you went through, everything you've taken clients through. You know every piece of it, what's coming next, what's going on, and that's a creator mindset. And a lot of times what happens, we get stuck in that creator mindset when we try to sell, and we actually need to be in a customer mindset, because the customer only wants to know, what are you doing? How's it going to help me? They don't care about all the details in between. What are you doing? How's it going to help me?
And honestly, for me, that was one of the hardest things for me, because I love to talk and I want to share everything. It's like, I had a mentor once that said, stop throwing up all over your clients. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, they don't want to know everything. They just want to know what you can solve their problem. I was like, oh, well, I like to know everything. So,
and I'll tell you, there's going to be a time for people to give them everything. And it is a hard thing. It's a hard thing for us as entrepreneurs, of people to not, because we put a lot of pride in this. We put a lot of time in this. There's thought behind thought behind thought behind every step that we have put into this. There's where we're going to get you. How are we going to get you there? This is how we're going to do this. This is how we're going to do that. This is step by step of what we're going to do. And we think people want to hear this, but what they're looking for is a quick, how are you going to help me? How are you going to get me from point A to point B? Are you going to get me from point A to point B? What are you doing? What is it going to get me to? And we start throwing up on them. They're like, I don't know what you're doing. I just want to know, can you help me stop doing this? And you're like, yes. And if you're going to take this, and they're like, whoa, you're not the coach for me. Even though it's a very simple process. And once they buy in, then it's okay to go into the full depth of what your program is. And because they've purchased it, they're on board, then they're wanting to know more. But until then, they just want to know that. So one of the things I talk about that's really powerful, and if you take note of this, this is going to be a very powerful moment for you in your businesses. If you do not have a value ladder, you need to get a value ladder. If you don't know what a value ladder is, that's okay. We're going to go over that for a minute here. But a value ladder is where you put your programs, what you offer, and what you don't offer. And people don't think about that all the time. But if you do not have this part made up, your relationship with not only sales, but your clients is going to be skewed. So real quick, I'm going to go over some simple things on the value ladder. So just imagine the value ladder and different rings. Did you have something you wanted to share?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you really quick, because I know this is something I've shared with my clients too. And I have been asked, and maybe there's other people that are going to wonder the same thing, is why would it be skewed? Why does it even matter if you have a value ladder or not? Because that's all great and dandy to have one, but if they don't even understand the value of having one, it gets to that point of going, well, why does it skew it? I don't get it.
Why does the value, if you don't know your value ladder, to skew it, how does that matter? It matters immensely. I found that this is like one of those, I speak all the time and I talk to people all the time and I teach about this value ladder to people all the time. And there's so many great things I talk about. When I'm done, this is what they really come back to, like, I understood value ladders since I talked to it. So you know your value ladders, and I'll just go over this part real quick because I want to get back to your thing. Is you got to have, everybody has their own little different things, but everybody has some type of freemium, a Facebook page, an Instagram page, a handle, a website, some place that you can send people for free, that they can follow you, they can do something, a PDF. You have a freemium. You always start with something on the freemium. And then I always say you have something for about $100 to $500. Usually it's a video course or a quick one-on-one session or one-time thing with you. And then there's something that's going to be within that $500 to $5,000 range, which is going to be in your group coaching or your events or something like that. And then I recommend people have something on a personal coaching level, where if somebody wants to work just with you and you want to put some time into it, and usually I say you got to start 5 to 20,000 in there. It just depends on you and your value, and we'll talk about that later. So that's a value ladder. You have those things set up. Here's the thing, guys. If you don't have your value ladder set up, when you go to talk to somebody on the phone and you do a sales conversation, let's just say you're talking about a video course, or no, let's go with the group coaching. Let's say you're going with a group coaching, it's $500 group coaching thing, okay? And you get them on the phone and you're talking to them, and they say, hey, oh, you know what? I kind of like what you do, but I need, let's just say that you're a life coach and that you specialize in goal setting, okay? That's what you're really doing. This thing's on how to set goals and reach your things. I'm just using something out there that I know a lot of people can relate to, okay? So you have these things that you're doing, and you're like, I do goal setting, we're teaching this, and it's going to be 4 weeks and 4 months, and it'll be about all these different things. And they're like, that's awesome, but I need goal setting, and I also need some mastermindy things, and I need something that does this. And if you can make me something like that, I'll buy your program. And you're like, oh, well, something like that's more than this and pieces of that. And you put something together. And I tell you, guys, listen to me really carefully. If you step off of your value ladder and you sell something on the phone that you have not vetted yourself, gone through, done the work on, figured out the cost on, it is going to be the worst experience in your entire life. If you haven't already had one, please think about this for a minute, because it's always a client that's not really willing to work with you. They're going to command you and push you around and tell you what they want to learn, and you're going to be stretching and pushing. And I'm not saying those experiences are bad. They've helped me grow a lot, but I'm trying to save you from having to do that. Because your sales process, your sales ladder, what you have in there, you need to stick to that and say, oh, I don't have that right now. Because what happens is now that's not what I'm offering. If you need something like that, go talk to so-and-so. That's something that they do. I am focusing on this piece because this is what people need. A, you set yourself up as an authority figure. B, you set yourself up as somebody that this is what you do and that you're not going to stray from it. And that they can't just, you're not just going to change what you're doing all of a sudden. Yes, I'm here for goals. Okay, now we're doing a mindset thing all of a sudden. And you're like, oh, wait, they want this, so I'm going to help them. I'm going to help them with foot zoning because I've done some before, but that's not what it's on it, but I'm going to add it into the program all of a sudden. And all of a sudden it grows up and then it collapses on you. It always collapses on you. And it feels like you're like, I'm struggling, I'm doing this. That is all done in scarcity, okay? All you're trying to do is get somebody's money and fill the program and feel good about yourself. It's done in scarcity. If it is not on your plan, on your value ladder, if you have not given it space on there, do not sell it. Tell them, oh, I'll consider this, and if I get that, I'll get back to you. But right now, this is what we're doing. Oh, that's not work for you? Great, follow me on Facebook. Because if you don't do this, guys, what's going to happen is you're going to just implode on yourself, and you're going to become overwhelmed, and you're going to be like, this is not what I started out to do, because it's not what you started out to do. Now, I'm not saying don't ever change your value ladder. Don't do that, but make sure you apply the thought process behind it before you put it out there. If you don't have a paper on how the course is going to run, if you don't have a cost in mind, and if you're going to do a discount, that's okay. Make sure you have it written down as far as you're going to go and what you're going to discount to and what your payment plans are and what you're willing to do. Because if you don't have those down, it doesn't work. You got to think about it all the way through and then just apply it. And you're so much more you when you do this than if you try to make something up on the fly.
Yes, I totally agree with that. What did you say?
I said, you have something you wanted to say, I could tell.
Well, I'm just agreeing with you because it's so true. Because I remember when I very first starting out, like I did my sessions at $25 an hour. And, I did what is called, what I think you're saying is a people pleasing pattern, where it's like, I got to go please them. I got to make them happy. I got to go do this and this and this so that they'll like me. Right. Yeah. And when we get into that mindset of I got to make people like me, we put ourselves out of that expert mode and we go into the the scarcity, like you're saying, and people will feel that even if you don't need money and you're not feeling the need for money, but you're going into this, oh, I want to make you happy, I want you to stay, da, 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 da. It's still a space of scarcity. So I love that you're bringing that up.
It's a huge space of scarcity, and when you're into that scarcity space, it's hard to thrive. And honestly, you lose your power as a coach, as a mentor, as an expert, because you're all of a sudden you're willing to change, and it flows and it moves, and I'm trying to make everybody happy. Guys, as a coach, you're not trying to make everybody happy, you're trying to make them take that next step.
Right.
And if you're just making everybody happy, you cannot ask them to take that next step. They're going to be like, oh, but that doesn't make me happy. You're like, oh, I'm sorry, let me give you some brownies and cookies, everything will be okay. It doesn't work. People don't get changed. They don't take the next step. They don't move. So you're like, oh, what's that have to do with sales? It has everything to do with sales. It has everything to do with the relationship, because the relationship you're going to establish with those people on that sales call, if you do have your everything set up and planned, is so much easier and better than if you go down a rabbit hole or go off a different way. You just totally lose everything. And so that's the number things. The second thing is to know your offers really well. Because if you know your offers and you stick to your offers, that puts you in a very, very good place of power. And that's what it's called, a place of power, because it's your power, it's your intuition, it's your value that you're going to use. So let's talk about the third thing. And we're going to talk about what is your value. People are like, wait, you're talking about sales. Why are you talking about my value? No, it's my program's value. No, your value is your product. Your value is your family. Your value is your friends. Your value is your money. So the question is, how do you value yourself? Because I promise you that if you don't have a value for yourself, if you don't know what your value is, if you don't know, if you haven't gotten honest with yourself and know what your true value is, everybody's going to feel it on the phone. Everybody's going to understand it. They're going to know your intuition. They're going to know your value, even if you don't accept it yet. You're like, I'm worth $1 million. I can't look myself in the mirror. You're not worth $1 million if you can't look yourself in the mirror. I'm sorry. Just those millionaires and those billionaires, they look at themselves like, oh man, I'm looking good today. I'm awesome. And that's a huge, people think, oh, that's good. No, it's the truth. Those people value themselves very highly. They know that they are valued. They know that they're the best person for the job. They know that that's what they're doing. So you need to value yourself and figure out where your value is. And here's the real big secret. This value thing and the whole sales thing, there's this piece I'm going to pull into real quick. It's called intention, because our intention has a lot to do with everything that we're having. Your intention can be a lot of things. It can be, I'm going to help my clients. I'm going to make money. I mean, let's be honest, making money is a good intention. Helping clients is a good intention. I want to take care of my family, good intentions. I want to help my friends. Whatever intentions you have for doing whatever you're doing, make sure you know those intentions. But sometimes what happens is we set these intentions, we know what our program is, and everything's still not working. And we're like, why is that not working? Why is everything not working? It's because we haven't asked ourselves the real truths. It's because we can have these intentions set. We can think we have a value. We can say our program's worth this. We can think that everything's happened, but you have to ask yourself the hard questions. You have to start with the real truth. And the real truth is, where do I see myself? How do I see myself? How do I understand myself? And you can change that with a lot of different ways. You can change that by doing declarations and truth conversations and everything else like that. But here's the big secret, guys. Okay, not everybody's going to tell you this, but this is the truth and the big secret about all sales, all relationships with anybody you have. You have to know your value. And you have to understand your value. And you have to live in that place. Not saying that you don't have to move it, but if you do not understand where you are right now, when you get on the phone and you think, oh, I can't look myself in the mirror, but I'm worth a $5,000 program. I'm going to sell this 500. Nobody's going to believe you. They are not going to believe you. But if you go on and you say, you know what, I'm working on myself. I know my value is very low right now, but I'm getting over that. I'm okay with that. If you know where you are and you're going to sell a $5,000 program, you're going to be able to sell that $5,000 program because you're coming from a place of truth. Okay? Please don't misunderstand me where you have to stay at that value, but you have to know it every time before you get on the phone call. Where is my value today? Because it's going to change. I mean, Alicia, I don't know about you, but some days my value feels like I'm skyrocketing, everything's great. And the next day I've had a terrible day and my value feels less. But, it's an ebb and flow. And I'm always hoping that it's going like this. It's going up, but it's just having this waves about it. But, I mean, would you agree with that your value moves a little bit, but you got to know your true value before you get on one of those calls?
Well, I would have agreed with you 5 years ago, but I don't agree with you anymore. And here's the reason why, because I've done so much of my own inner work that I know that my value doesn't change according to who I talk to. And it doesn't change according to what I have come to understand is that the value of money and where it shows up is neutral. My value is divine. My value is so huge and so big that my belief system has totally shifted from believing that whatever I put on a paper of what I want to sell is what my value is. It's not even the same anymore. My value has nothing to do with whether I sell my program for $100 or $12,000 or $25,000 or more, because I'm not taking any of it personally. I'm not holding on to it and making it my thing. I've created it and I'm giving it to the world. And at that gift value, it'll be a 12,000 or a 5,000 or whatever I'm giving out to the world, right? I'm offering, but my personal value never changes. And so when I look at myself in the mirror, I am a multimillionaire because that's who I see myself as a daughter of God, as a divine being, is like infinite value, right? But when I look at, like if I were to say, oh, I'm going to sell this program for $1 million, oh, there's going to be all sorts of thoughts coming in going, yeah, you're not at that level. You're not qualified at that level. And that's the word I use differently than a value, instead of it being, okay, what am I qualified at today? Am I qualified at a $12,000 program? Can I offer that qualification of a $12,000 program? Or can I offer the qualification of my $6,000 program? Where am I at today? And if I want to be higher, then what can I do to change what's going on inside of me to get to that level? Does that make sense?
No, it totally does. And I appreciate that, because that's really what I'm trying to tell people is that your value is separate from your product value. I mean, you have to know your value. And but
your
it
worth.
doesn't your worth. Thank you. We'll change that. I'll change that. That's perfect. You have to know your worth, and you have to be willing to forgive yourself. You have to be willing to understand those things, but that has no connection to what program you're selling. I sell programs for multiple different businesses, different programs, and it doesn't matter because I know where I am. I know who I am. And Alicia's done a lot of work, and she's like, I'm a daughter of God. I'm an infinite value. It doesn't matter where I put this. I really pray everybody gets there and try to get there. And if you haven't, work with Alicia. She is really good at helping you get there, because that is what you really want at the end. But as a sales professional in something like this, I'm telling you right now, it doesn't matter where you see your value. As long as you know what your value is, you can do anything with that. Because that is the truth. What my value is this value, but it's not this value. My value, it means, okay, I know where I am. I can sell this value at anywhere it is, because I know where I am. It's kind of my worth. My worth, I like that better, because
so maybe it's where are you qualified to offer? versus value, because that might be a little bit confusing, just because value does usually tend to team up with money.
Yes.
And so if we do qualify, like, are you qualified to sell a product at $12,000? Like, do you honestly feel within you that you are qualified to give that kind of value to the people that you are wanting to come into your world? And so that, I think, is maybe, I don't know, you can consider that, but that might be a different way of languaging it, just so that you can keep it separate from having, you know, our value versus the value we're sharing people with how much it's going to be. Does that make sense?
It does. And that's really what I'm trying to convey with people, is that there is, I mean, it's, everything's linked to you. But because if you don't believe it, nobody else is going to believe it. It doesn't matter what the price is or what the value of that program is if you don't believe in you, then you can't believe in the value. So even, and I'm going to say my quality is like, let's just say, if anybody wants to follow me, I just put a post that talks about what I've done for the last 30 years and how terrible I was on things. My value was very low. My birthday's coming up, which is this Sunday, turned 44, but my value was so low, guys, I never even celebrated a birthday until I was 40. I literally tried to get away from it, hide from it. I didn't want to be celebrated. I didn't want to be recognized. I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want to be remembered that I had been born. I thought my value was broken and it was messed up. That person, me, could not sell a dollar program because I didn't think I was worth anything. Okay. But I always thought that I had to do that. I'm going to present myself as I'm worth all this stuff. And when I present that self, I put on that, or I'm going to call it a facade, because that's what it is. I put on that facade and I go out there and everybody feels, sees, and hears my facade. Even if I've practiced it and I think it's all good and polished, it was a facade. But just like Alicia, I've done a lot of work. I know I'm a son of God. I know that my value is infinite. I know that I am amazing. I even know that I'm broken. If you read my post, you'll understand. But I know that I'm broken. I have flaws. I have things. But that does not change my value. That does not change that I am a child of God, that I am loved, and that I am cherished by other people, and that we can put other people into our lives. And once I understood that, it doesn't matter. I could sell something for $1. I could sell something for 50 cents. I could sell in the $10 million program. It doesn't matter because I know who I am and where I stand. And that's what I want you guys to understand. Know who you are. Know where you stand. Please become better. But knowing where you are is enough to start. It's enough. Even if I would have known that, hey, I don't feel my value. I feel like my value is really low. If I were to admit that, I could still sell the dollar thing because I would be selling it from that spot where I was. And always have a progression forward, looking forward, moving forward. And this will actually help you move forward. Alicia?
I don't have anything. I'm just agreeing with you.
Oh, you're just agreeing? I thought you had something to say. So those are the things that I really wanted to talk to you guys about. So know your why. And I know it sounds funny, but you got to know where your scarcity is coming from, where your fear is coming from. And you got to learn how to face it and understand it and look at it. Because what's going to happen is every time you get on that phone call, all those thoughts are going to crash you. They really are, especially if you're upping your program from, let's just say you have a $5,000 program to a $10,000 program. By the way, that's a big leap. And you think, oh, that's not a big leap. I added all this stuff to it. But when you get on the phone, all of a sudden, you're going to feel the weight of it. So you need to know all those things are going to come in. And if you haven't understood them, you can't push them to the side and be like, oh, yeah, those go that way. And then you can be ready for this call. So you got to know your why. You got to know your product. And you got to know your ladders. And here's another thing that I didn't get to real quick on the product ladder is if somebody comes in and you're talking to them about your group coaching and they're like, if you know what your products are and you're like, oh man, you know what, I would offer you this group coaching, but it's not what you really need because you need to move a little faster, you need to go a little further, you have these things coming up, I'm going to recommend my personal coaching to you. because that's the only way we're really going to be able to get you where you need to be by the time you need to be there. And so you know your price and you know everything, so you can say, this is what it is, this is what it looks like, this is how we're going to do it. You know it, and they're ready for it, and they'll be like, oh yeah, that is exactly what I need. And it's easier to move them up because you know that's on your ladder. Or they're not ready for you, and you present the group coaching thing, and they're like, I don't think that's what I'm not ready for that. You're like, whoa, it's fine. I'm going to send you this PDF. It's going to help you understand some steps to take. Follow me on Facebook. It's going to be great. It's okay. Or you know what? I got this video course. It's $150. It is really going to help you with some of those first steps that you need to take, and it's going to get you over that. And it'll be really good for you to get those steps. And then once you're done with that, we can talk and see if you're ready for the group coaching when I open it up. They'll be like, oh, thank you. And one other thing real quick, because that's the value ladder, is because you can, if you know your value ladder, if somebody doesn't qualify there, you can move them someplace else. And if they don't qualify for anything on your value ladder, and they tell you no, that this is not the time, there's power in no that people just disregard a lot of times. What I like to do if somebody tells me no, I just don't think this is right for me, because you guys, you're going to get some stuff. I'm going to be sending you some things. But one of the things you're going to have is, I'm going to tell you real quick, we're going to give you this sales script. Really a nice thing. It has notes, because you're going to take notes. You look at all this stuff you guys get to ask people. You're going to know who they are by the end of this call. By the time they say no, you know what their business is, you know what they're struggling with, or you know what they're doing good at, you know how they're doing personally and financially. You know so much about them. And you're going to know if they're not going to fit in your program, or if they're going to say, you really honestly almost know before happening that they're going to say no. And that's okay, because a lot of times if I'm in a conversation with somebody and it's not, let's just say they're going to come do some sell stuff with me, but they're not ready for what I have, because really they need some focus on who they are. I'm like, you know what? You need to talk with Alicia. You need to talk with this coach. This person's going to actually help build you up to be ready to do this better. And it's going to be very good for you. And you need to know your people around you that aren't what you do, or even that are what you do, because everybody's different. Mm-hmm. And you need to be willing. You need to be willing every time you get on the call to give them away to somebody else. You're like, no, Chip, that's not sales.
It is though, because what goes around comes around. So when you give, you get back, and remember, it comes back tenfold. So when you are willing to give or let go of something that you could, but you know that it maybe has a better fit somewhere else, then you're going to be receiving tenfold something even better. So yeah, you're always wanting to give, because if you give away and you give them other resources and their opportunities, then your opportunities come at a bigger level too.
And it comes in a service mindset. Mm-hmm. And Alicia and I talked about that earlier too. But if you have a service mindset, I'm here to serve these people. I'm not here to make money off of these people. Yes, I'm going to make money, but I'm not here to make money off of you. I'm here to help you. I'm going to serve you the best I possibly can. And then I promise, if you serve them the best you possibly can, guess what? If they don't come back, they're going to look for a friend. It's happened to me. I'm guessing it's close to almost 85% of the time. When I tell them, they say no, and I say, that's great. This is some steps I see that could help you. These are some people I see that could help you. If you need to know anything, here's their name. Here's how to contact them. Here's this, here's that. It's okay to say no. I'm going to help you get to where you can say yes, because it's important. I see where we've gone through this discussion. I see you. I know what you need. I know people who can help you better than I can. Because if we try to step out of our value ladder and say, you know what? I can do that mindset coaching. I've had 15 mindset coaches. Honestly, I probably have. Not even joking. I can do the mindset coaching, but that's not my passion. That's not what drives me. Yes, I do mindset coaching in all my courses a little bit, and it's just because it needs to be there, because some people fall short and they need help every once in a while. It's fine. But that's not my main focus. If I know somebody that's what they really, 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 they're not going to be able to do my program until they get that, because there's truth behind that. I'm going to send them to somebody who can. I'm going to refer them to people who can. I'm going to ask them to keep following me. But there's so much power in saying no. It puts you in authority power. It puts you in a place of awe and respect. It puts you in a place of people are like, he told me no. I had all the money. I told him yes, I wanted to do it. He said I wasn't ready for his program. It wasn't going to work. Well, dang it. I need to get ready for his program. I need to get myself where I can do his program.
Oh,
and I'm
man,
going to
that's
tell
happened to
everybody
me
who's
many
straight,
times.
go do that program.
Yes.
And
And
people
it
think,
actually is a
"No."
motivator. It is a motivator for people. It gets them motivated going, oh, wow, man, I need to do more work before I can be qualified to go to that next level like I want to get to.
And you have to know that's kind of your value. Know your level, know where you stand, and be there. And it's okay. And it's okay to let people go. And it's like, you know what? I did this mass ad and I put it all out there and I talked to 500 people, but only 10 of them were qualified. That's a terrible sales thing. No, it's not. Because you're able to show people where to go and how to do things. And out of that 500, you got 10 of them. That's, it's not great, but if you do that right and you tell them no, or you don't let them come in and they need qualifications and you help them see where to go, they're going, that 500 now know who you are. They know, like, and trust you. They're going to go do something. They're going to find the path and they're going to come back to you.
Right.
And instead of being 500 cold leads, which they were, now they're going to be 500 hot leads in a year, in 6 months, in 3 months, in some other in moments, because they're going to know, like, and trust you, and it's going to be a powerful moment in your life, in your career, and in your business.
I love it.
So, well, that's what I got. So just remember why are you really doing it? What it's for? You're going to remember that you need to know your programs and your processes, and you need to understand your value, your worth, your divineness. And it's a powerful moment, because what this really does is it keeps you calm. It keeps you centered. And people get so stressed out with their business, and they get stressed out with what they're doing. If you can work on those 3 things on this sales part. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and we were talking, and people think, oh, this sales is just something I have to do. Sales is like one of the 3 things for your business. For life, you have to eat, breathe, and what was the other one? Eat, breathe, and drink. If you don't do one of those 3 things, if you're not doing those 3 things daily, you're going to die. Or within a few days, if you don't get something in there, you're going to have trouble. Sales is one of those 3 things in your business. If you take sales out of your business or think it's not important, you might as well just hold your breath and see how long you can last. Or stop eating and see how long you're going to make it, because that is how vital it is to your business, until you understand how important it is and that you can do it on your own terms. Because what I want you to understand is it's your own terms. It's where you're going. It's what you're doing. It's knowing your programs and not stepping outside of those. It's knowing your value and how you can help other people in that space. It's knowing your worth. It's knowing the value of your programs. It's knowing what's holding you back so you can move forward, or so that you know what's held you back in the past, and you're not going to let it hold you back anymore. You're only going to move forward.
Yes.
So
I love it.
Thank you.
You are amazing. And we have a couple more minutes. So if anybody has questions, go ahead and take yourself off of mute and you can ask questions. I do know that one of the things that I experienced in my journey of the sales world is understanding how sales are like breathing. They really are, because in order for you, I think that they're even more important than, eating or drinking, because really sales is what's going to drive your business forward. And it took a long time for me to understand that concept, because I was doing the marketing. I was doing all of the, all of the fluffy stuff, which I guess is not fluffy, but all the other stuff, right? but it wasn't breathing in my business. I wasn't bringing the life into it, which is through the cells.
It is
And
through the cells.
yeah, and when you can get past the fact that, like you said, the first thing is to know, why are you afraid of them? Why are you afraid to do cells? What is stopping you from moving forward? And like for me, I already shared my reason why, but I have found, like, when people come to me, because I am a business coach, they come to me and they think that I'm going to teach them marketing and sales and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, how long have you been in business? It's usually 5 to 10 years. It's like, you already know that. You already know the cells. You already know all of the things. You got to eat. You got to breathe. You got to drink. So what really is the problem? And that's the thing is the problem is that it's not the exterior. And that's where so many people go to, especially in sales. They go and look for all the other problems. Like, oh, this person isn't doing what they need to be doing, and this person isn't doing what they need to be doing, and and they go through all of the exterior, and they're still wondering why it's not working. And really, it isn't that they don't know how to do it. It's that they're letting themselves be stopped from doing it because of what's going on the inside of them, because it's so much tied to their value, their worth, and their identity. And they're tying it and making it personal. So if they don't make a sale, it's a personal insult to themselves. Yeah. And so when you do that, your body's like, I don't like sales. Like, that hurts me. You're hurting me because you're taking it personally. You're like stabbing me in the heart every single time, right? And so of course your body's going to reject it, and you're going to find everything you can to self-sabotage. And so I love that is one of the vital things that you talk about, because it's so true. If you do not learn how to take it off of you, like take the cells off of you, don't take it personally, don't tie it to your identity, your value, and your worth. And just realize that this is part of your business and growth within your business. And it's how your business breathes. Like, when you breathe, you're not sitting there going, oh my gosh, I can't believe you just took another breath. Like, come on. You're not doing that. It's just part of you, that your body already knows that it needs that in order to survive.
Yeah.
And if we can change our mentality to that in our business of cells is how your business breathes, there doesn't need to be anything personal about it.
And one of the things that and thank you for bringing it up, because it made me think about something that I do a lot, and that it makes a big difference, helping me disconnect that and make it even better, is no matter who I get on the call, they leave with something. Okay, I help everybody. So if it's a no, it doesn't matter, because I've helped them.
Right.
I've done my due diligence. I've done the best I can. Even if they've yelled at me or something, I'm like, well, now they have a new perspective on what life is really like. So sometimes that people need that, and it's okay. But instead of beating myself up, look what I was able to do. Oh, I didn't get the sell. That's okay. That person is better today than they were before my call.
Exactly.
And it's a breath. It's like, inhale breaths are, oh, I made a sell, but you got to have those exhale breaths of, oh, it's okay, I help people. They said, no, it's fine. It's a two-part process. There's two pieces to it. There's the win and there's the lose. There's the in and then there's the out. It's not really a loss. People see cells as a loss. I lost that cell. No, I didn't lose that cell. They weren't ready for me.
I directed them to the path that's going to lead them back.
I'm going to help them get here as fast as they can, and this is the best way. And here's the other thing people don't understand, and it's huge for me, and it's huge for a lot of people that I talk to and when I train to, is it's agency, right? Everybody has their agency. The moment you try to take somebody's agency away, and I was in one of my classes I just did, I was talking to them and I said, you got to quit demanding, because they were demanding that people do things. And it was simple demands. It's like, you need to do X, Y, and Z today. You need to do this today. Like, in your programs in your life, you stop demanding people to do things, because we'll find ourselves in sales calls. Oh, you need this program because it's going to help you with X, Y, and Z. And people are like, you think I need that program? Well, I can do it without that. I guarantee it. But if you invite them, to join you, I invite you to come see if this will work. I invite you to do this. I invite you to do that. They'll be like, oh, he invited me. I have a choice in this matter now.
Right.
He's not demanding. And an invitation comes in a lot of different ways, guys. Don't just say, oh, I have to invite you. Just say, would you like to join me in doing this? Would you want to work with me in doing this? You give them that option and they're going to feel a lot more comfortable with it. Yes. If you tell them you need to work with me because I'm going to be the best person with you, they're going to be like, no. You're going to get some people, don't get me wrong. And people have been doing it for a long time. Tony Robbins is a very demanding person on that. And you'll see that there's like, you need to get in this, you need to do this, this is the best thing you can't turn this offer down. Oh yeah, watch me, click. I can't turn it down, it's easy. But if they invite me and they say, hey, I invite you to come check this out. Look what it can do for you. Let me show you how we can help you. You want to come on this journey with me? Ooh, I want to know more. It's something in our brains. It's something in our character. It's something God gave us agency. And when anybody tries to take our agency away, we put, whether we know it or not, we put walls.
So I love that you brought that up because that is something I teach all the time. In fact, I just did a post on it. It's called The Language of Affluency. And when you use the words, I have to, I must, I ought to, should, could, ought to, those are actually words that give away your power, give away your agency. And then the word need, I don't know if I said that already, but those are the words that take away your agency. They actually give away your agency. So you'll hear so many times, especially like I'm around a lot of women, they're like, oh, sorry, I unplugged it. Sorry, I unplugged myself. Anyway, I'm around a lot of women, they're like, I have to go do the laundry. And then you talk to them and they still haven't done the laundry and it's 3 days later, right? Why didn't they? Well, because they demanded themselves to do it. And so what do? They find all the distractions, all the self-sabotage, anything to do to not do it, right? Look at your 3-year-old kid. You tell your 3-year-old kid you have to eat that broccoli. They're going to do everything they can not to eat the broccoli, right? And it's because those are words that have a negative connotation. They literally give away our power. But if you use the words, I choose to, I want to, I desire to, I get to, those are the words that bring your agency back. And then you move forward with your power rather than force. So those are powerful, powerful words. And I love to teach that because it's the language of affluency. If you want more abundance in your life, you get to change that languaging.
Yes. And invite yourself to do things. I mean, I tell people all the time, I do a lot of courses on this too, is you sell yourself into something every day. They're like, no, I don't. I'm like, did you wake up this morning? Yes. Did you turn off your alarm? Yes. Well, you sold yourself into turning off that alarm. It had a greater weight and value than not turning off your alarm today.
Right.
On Saturday, do you turn your alarm off and go back to bed, or you just let it go? I turn it off and go back to bed. You sold yourself on going back to bed. Every choice you make, you have a yin and a yang, a yes or no, an argument, and it just depends on how you sell yourself that day. And when you give yourself those choices and those abilities, you're going to start physically choosing to do better. That's how you succeed in life. Yes. That's how you succeed in sales. That's how you succeed in a diet. I choose to eat a salad over the really nice greasy hamburger with French fries. I choose to be healthy. I'm making these arguments for myself. And sometimes the hamburger wins the argument, and you just got to realize the hamburger won that argument. I need to make a better argument for the salad.
Or I get to make a better argument for the salad.
I get to make a better argument. I get to learn how to make a better argument. And that one did not work very well. You got to learn how to sell yourself into those options and how to buy and check it and everything you do in life.
Yep.
And speak positively and do those awesome things.
So awesome. Well, Chip does have a free offer. He did mention it earlier, but I'm going to have him offer it again.
So I have a free offer for you guys. We know that sales is hard. Trust me. Even though I just said you do all these things in sales, it's hard. And what happens is we get on the phone, we get talking to people. You know what you're supposed to say. You know your pattern, but people get you down a hole sometimes, and they get talking about their dog Lucy, who just came in and barked. The next thing you know, you're talking about your dog, and you're not even on your thing anymore. I promise it happens all the time because they do it all the time. But we've created a sales script, and our sales script is really pages long because it has all objections and answers to in-depth analysis is on why we say all the things that we say and why we say it. And it took a long time, and we trained a lot of people on it, and it sold millions of dollars. But we were having people going through papers, and they were like, well, where did it which, and it was difficult, and people were struggling with it a little bit. So we took all of that knowledge over the last 7 years. We took all of our references, all of our things, and I really condensed it. It took me a year to get this condensed down to the way I like it, testing, improving it. And what we've done is we've condensed it down into a one page. Okay. This doesn't have all the in-depth and everything, and you can find those someplace. And if you want more in-depth, you can always reach out and ask me. But on here, it just has kind of what you need, all the steps you need to follow through on a sales conversation, to keep in order, to keep asking them good questions. One of the powerful questions on here we found in the recent years that this is one of the biggest objections people have. You know, they have the top 10 objections, and this isn't even on it right now. But one of the biggest objections you have is, where is it? Have you worked with somebody about this before? And so you're on a conversation, say you're the goal teaching person, and you say, have you worked with somebody about this before? Well, yeah, I have a coach right now. Well, how's that going? And I mean, that's on here. How's it? If it's good, this is what you say. If it's bad, this is what you say. And then you can kind of talk on that conversation. Because what we were finding is we didn't know at the end of the day, all these no's were, well, I was already working with somebody in that. So you kind of get rid of that whole objection that you didn't know was there and that you need to advertise. If you know they're working with somebody and they're still talking to you, there's a reason they're talking to you, by the way. Mm-hmm. There's a reason, not that the coach is doing bad, but they're still looking for something else, something different. And now that you know they're working with them, and if you know the coach, you know what the coach works on, and then you can say, okay, that's a great coach, you know, but this is what I help you with, where this is where I focus on where they don't, and I can help you get there. And sometimes that's the difference between whether you get a sell or not. So we're giving this away to you, this exact sales scripting. Use it. I would say, even if you have a sales script, get it, because it's going to show you different things maybe you haven't used before.
That's what I did.
What I like about it too is, and maybe use the setup. I set this up. I use it all the time because it has a place for me to put the name of the person, because sometimes we forget the name, and the potential client, what product you're selling it for, and then a place for notes. Because if you're not taking notes on a sales conversation, you're not having a sales conversation. You're not doing it right. You need to be able to understand, how much, how long have you been in the industry? If you're not writing these things down, because you're going to talk about it later, you're going to bring it back up. You need to be like, wow, you've been doing this for 10 years? That's amazing. Tell me a little bit about that. If you have this information in front of you, it makes the conversation a conversation. It makes it not seem like you care, because you really do care. You wrote it down. Right. Mm-hmm. And people are writing down, and you're looking down doing this, and they're like, hey, I'm talking to you. And you're like, I'm taking notes. This is important. Just a second. And I have never had anybody like, don't take notes from me. They're like, oh, what I said is important enough to take notes on? Yeah, it is. And then they're like, oh, this person's listening to me. It's powerful. And it's a powerful thing that we're giving you guys. So please, what we're giving you is you can get the sales conversation, and on there, or you can set up a 30-minute audit with me, and we'll go through your sales conversations or your sales process and see where we can help make some tweaks and stuff. But you can do both as well, but they're both out there for your free today.
Love it. And that information will be posted down in the comments or in the post. I don't know quite where we're going to put it, but it'll be there one way or the other. And I just want to thank you so much, Chip, for being here and teaching us so much and giving us so much of your valuable time and information. And just, if you guys have questions about anything that he or I have talked about in our conversation today, please put it down below in the comments, or you're welcome to privately message me. Are they welcome to privately message you?
Please privately message me. I look forward to, I love helping people
Yes,
what I believe.
definitely. We're here to serve you, help you in any way that we can so that you can get to that next level. And you guys have a great Wednesday, and I'll see you next time.
Have a great Wednesday. See you guys. Thank you for your time.